Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are immersing ourselves in, well, the smoky, pretty miserable world of 19th century London.
hmm
Specifically, we're focusing on a legal structure so toxic, so self-perpetuating, that it became a national scandal.
We're deep diving into the infamous High Court of Chancery.
And our mission here is to really go beyond the fictional drama and pull out the shocking truths that are buried in the source material.
Right.
We want to understand this central paradox. How did a legal system, one that was, supposedly designed to protect people and ensure justice?
How did it turn into this chaotic financial and psychological black hole that just ruined lives?
Exactly. Across every social class, from the richest baronets down to the poorest kids on the street.
Okay, let's unpack this immediately because the context is just staggering. The source material goes out of its way to say that this is not an exaggeration.
No, not at all.
The author states that everything about the Court of Chancery is, and I'm quoting here, substantially true and within the truth. This wasn't fantasy. It was basically documentary horror. That is the essential starting point. This court, Chancery, it was the court of equity. It was supposed to handle trusts, estates, inheritances.
The complicated stuff.
The complicated stuff. It was meant to be the safety net for people who couldn't get a fair shake in common law courts. But because it dealt with assets held for multiple people, cases could just drag on forever.
And the only people who benefited were the lawyers.
You got it. And the numbers, they just back up this ruinous reality. The source highlights what was called a friendly suit.
Friendly, meaning everyone was supposedly on the same page.
Right. And this suit had started nearly 20 years before 1853. The cost, £70,000.
£70,000. That is an absolutely astronomical sum for the time.
And here's the kicker. This supposedly friendly suit was, quote, no nearer to its termination now than when it was begun.
Unbelievable. And that's not even the worst of it, is it? There were even older cases.
Oh, yeah. The source mentions another suit, one that started before 1800, where more than double that amount, we're talking over £140,000, had been swallowed up in costs.
So this wasn't just slow bureaucracy.
No, it was a self-sustaining institution that just ate wealth. A kind of legal financial perpetual motion machine. It didn't resolve disputes, it maximized billable hours, and destroyed capital meant for the next generation.
For you listening today, this is like the original catastrophic example of how bureaucratic inertia can cause generational trauma.
And economic devastation. And the setting, the actual physical environment, just mirrors this perfectly.
Right, the London fog. We're plunged into this implacable November weather.
And that fog, it's more than just weather, It's a moral atmosphere. It's a symbol of all this confusion.
The mud is so thick, the sources say, it looks as if the waters had but newly retired from the face of the earth.
And that mud and fog, it's densest right around Temple Bar.
The gateway to the High Court of Chancery.
Precisely. And at the dead heart of all that fog sits the Lord High Chancellor, presiding over what the text acidly calls the most pestilent of hoary sinners.
The environment really dictates the action.
It absolutely does. The atmosphere is perfect for the groping and floundering condition of the court. Inside, you've got lawyers groping knee-deep in technicalities.
And tripping one another up on slippery precedents. So they aren't even trying to find clarity. They're just embracing the muck.
And the sheer volume of paper involved. The cost becomes visceral. They talk about bills, cross-bills, answers, rejoinders, injunctions, mountains of costly nonsense.
It sounds like an archival avalanche.
It was, and we should pause on those master's reports for a second. The masters in Chancery were basically legal middle managers.
So another layer of bureaucracy.
Another costly, time-consuming layer. Every single one of those documents meant more fees, more delays, and the original estate just getting smaller and smaller.
And this paralysis, it didn't just hit people's finances, it warped their whole worldview.
Yeah, the sources talk about the psychological fallout. It bred a loose belief that if the world go wrong, it was in some offhand manner never meant to go right.
Which makes sense. If the ultimate system of justice is broken, why bother trying to fix anything else?
Which brings us to the centerpiece of all this madness, the case of Jarndyce and Jarndyce.
This multi-generational lawsuit over a huge estate.
Right. We learn about poor Tom Jarndyce, who was literally driven to ruin by what he called the wicked heaps of papers.
And the current guardian in the story, Mr. Jarndyce, he's developed this whole defensive vocabulary just to cope. He calls any talk of the suit the wind.
It's an annoying draft, yeah. And he coins this brilliant term for all the legal back and forth.
Agglomeration.
Agglomeration. It's perfect. It captures the complete uselessness of all that bureaucratic language. It's just a massive knot of words where the meaning is totally lost.
And we see the toxic effects of this agglomeration most tragically on the young wards of the court.
The ones whose entire futures depend on this broken system. Richard Carstone is the prime example.
As a ward of the court, all his potential assets are tied up. He tries to start a career.
Medicine, right, with Mr. Badger. But he just can't settle down. He keeps saying, one can't settle down while this business remains in such an unsettled state.
But that initial feeling of being a victim, it curdles into something much darker, doesn't it?
It really does. As the suit drags on, his energy becomes erratic, impatient. He stops blaming the abstract court.
And starts blaming the people around him.
Exactly. He starts to believe that the case has warped him out of himself, and here's the critical shift. He begins to see his own kind, generous guardian, John Jarndyce, as the embodiment of the suit.
As an injury to him personally. The focus of his despair moves from the system to the individual who's trying to help him.
It shows how destructive that lack of resolution is. Here's this young person, tortured by the system, his hopes are worn out, but because the court controls everything, he still looks to it and hankers after it.
As the only possible source of salvation, even while it's killing him.
Now, contrast Richard's slow decline with the two archetypes of ruin that literally haunt the courtroom itself.
You've got Miss Flight, the tragic, eccentric suitor.
She's there every day, holding her bag of documents, always expecting a judgment that will never, ever come.
Her backstory is just heartbreaking. Her whole family was destroyed by Chancery. Father died bankrupt. Brother drank himself to death.
And her sister. Well, the text just says, never ask to what. She represents this kind of pathetic, long-suffering resignation to the madness.
But then you have the complete opposite of that resignation.
Mr. Gridley, the violent man from Shropshire.
Right. He got so frustrated he actually threatened a solicitor.
And was thrown in prison for contempt of court. He is pure, raw rage. He demands a vent under my sense of injury.
And his vow is just terrifying. He knows the system only delivers death, not justice. So he says if he knew when he was dying, he'd have himself carried to the court.
And if he had a voice left, he'd die there, saying, you have brought me here and sent me from here many and many a time. Now send me out feet foremost.
So the court becomes this place where the only final act of defiance is literally dying in it. The system is so entrenched that only death can end your case.
Yeah, it's the ultimate stage for human failure.
And if the court is the source of this institutional neglect, the sources show us how society outside the court is infected with a similar kind of indifference.
It's what happens when people look away from the misery right in front of them because of that loose belief that things were never meant to go right anyway.
Which brings us to the humbug of philanthropy, Mrs. Jellyby.
Oh, Mrs. Jellyby. Her obsession is this far-off settlement in Borrioboola. She's focused on cultivating coffee in natives thousands of miles away.
And this grand vision allows her to completely ignore the chaos in her own home.
Her house is a total disaster zone. A curtain is pinned up with a fork, the cook is always drunk, and her kids, like poor Pee-Pee, are just filthy and covered in bruises.
She is so focused on charity abroad that she creates misery at home.
And the irony gets even deeper with her daughter, Caddy. Caddy is desperate to learn basic housekeeping.
And she doesn't learn it from her mother.
No. She learns it from the most tragic figure we've met, poor Miss Flight. The victim of the lawsuit becomes the teacher of basic life skills.
And then there's the other humbug, Mr. Skimpole.
The humbug of artlessness. He acts like this perpetually broke but totally innocent man-child, a damaged young man who is quite a child.
He believes his only job in life is to be agreeable.
He's this marvelous creation of cynical self-interest. He avoids all responsibility, blames his debts on coavinces, which is his euphemism for the bailiffs.
He even blames the wind for blowing his money away.
Right. And this refusal to take responsibility makes him utterly useless to anyone who is in real need.
And this is contrasted so starkly with the actual victims of neglect, the ones society is happy to ignore. People like Joe.
Joe, the illiterate street orphan. He just says he don't know nothing. He is the literal embodiment of societal failure.
He's constantly being told to move on, and he feels like he has no business here or there or anywhere. He is a victim of systemic invisibility.
And then there's Charlie Neckett, an orphan child forced into punishing labor. The sources describe her drying her bare arms on a womanly sort of apron, her fingers white and wrinkled with washing.
She's a child laborer right in the shadows of the High Court. This is the real cost of the distraction provided by people like Mrs. Jellyby and Mr. Skimpole.
And this whole sphere of neglect, it links all the way up to the highest levels of society, through Lady Dedlock.
Who is defined by her profound boredom. She says she's been bored to death in Lincolnshire. She thinks she's inscrutable, totally out of the reach and ken of ordinary mortals.
But her safety is just a carefully constructed illusion. The text tells us every dim little star revolving about her, from her maid to the opera manager, they all know her weaknesses.
She's only protected by the powerful silence of one man, Mr. Tulkinghorn, the dark heart of this legal machinery.
Tulkinghorn, the rusty lawyer, he's described as mechanically faithful without attachment. He doesn't care about justice or morality. He's just very jealous of the profit, privilege, and reputation of being master of the mysteries of great houses. His power comes from hoarding secrets.
And he is relentlessly pursuing the one secret that Lady Dedlock knows will destroy her.
Her past connection to a Captain Hawdon and the fact that Esther, the young woman at Bleak House, is actually her illegitimate daughter.
Lady Dedlock is terrified of him. She sees him as someone too passionless to be either a friend or an enemy.
She dreads his eyes more than the eyes of all of fashionable society. He is the ultimate cold manipulator, using the power of the law to control private lives.
And crucially, the system is all connected. The very same legal office that's handling the endless chancery suit Kenji and Carboy
Also employs Mr. Guppy, the clerk,
who is trying to use the resemblance between Esther and Lady Dedlock and some old letters he found to gain leverage for himself.
Yes. So the same legal structures that perpetuate the public chaos of Jarndyce and Jarndyce are simultaneously running these private campaigns of coercion and blackmail. The law is either openly ruining you or secretly coercing you. There's no middle ground.
So this deep dive has really shown us the catastrophic reach of this one court case. It's like a malignant blight, warping every single life it touches.
Whether it's Richard Carstone's ruined ambition, Miss Flight's pathetic hope,
Lady Dedlock's paralyzed fear, or just the crushing neglect of forgotten children like Joe and Charlie.
the institutional failure of the court becomes a perfect mirror for the emotional failure of society. When the foundation of justice is rotten, social responsibility just collapses.
And that loose belief that things were never meant to go right?
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Okay, but this is where it gets really symbolic. The true final judgment on this whole rotten system doesn't come from a judge.
No, it doesn't. It comes from the fate of a man named Crook.
Crook, the self-proclaimed Lord Chancellor of the rag and bottle shop. He's the physical embodiment of waste and decay, hoarding paper and junk right next to the court.
And he can't even read. He symbolizes the system's own ignorance and its obsession with meaningless documents.
And his death is just horrifyingly memorable. He dies by spontaneous combustion.
Among his own hoarded papers, the source is very clear. Spontaneous combustion, and none other of all the deaths that can be died.
So Crook is literally consumed by the corrupted, gaseous decay generated by the vicious body of waste that he himself created.
He is the system eating itself. The ultimate judgment isn't delivered by some external force of law or morality. It's delivered by the toxic, self-consuming nature of the corruption itself.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this? When an endless system designed to deliver justice collapses under its own weight and the final judgment comes from the fiery, toxic decay it generates, what does that say about how we structure and oversee our own modern bureaucratic nightmares? That's the ultimate question this story offers you to ponder.